All right. Hello and welcome to the Bellwether Ritual live stream, where we are currently experiencing technical difficulties. So we are up on Facebook right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're up on Facebook right now, and we hope to be up on YouTube soon. Hit us up in the chat if you do see us in there. We're just going to plow ahead anyway. Yeah, this is where we discuss local Lehigh Valley, PA music scene, bands, social media, and more. Today is Wednesday, February 16th, and I hope everyone had a good week so far. My name is Mike, and I am the vocalist slash guitarist of the band Bellwether Ritual. And I'll give a quick rundown of what's going on with the band, and then get to our guest this week. Actually, we'll probably bring our guest in a little early this week because he's a part of the band, so he has a lot to say about what's going on with the band. So just a quick shout out to our guest last week, Sean Kavanaugh. We had a great conversation about all sorts of things like Neil Young and The Masked Singer and Rudy Giuliani. And we hope to have him back on soon. You can find him at Sean Cav Bass and Sippin' with Sean on social media platforms. And yeah, okay, let's take a jump over and I'll introduce our guest for this week, who is Bellwether Ritual's very own Shane Townsend, guitar player extraordinaire. Get him on here. What's up, Shane? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, last minute snafus, working through them, the usual.
Of course.
Kind of like practice.
Oh yeah.
All right. So yeah, Shane's here. We're gonna just quick run through what we've been up to, band wise, and then we're gonna do a little online guitar shopping, and I just have
Ooh.
some questions for him about like how he started playing guitar and getting into a band and all that good stuff. So yeah, let's see here. In band news, we have a full set together, which is great.
Yeah,
We,
man. It's such a
I
relief.
know, right? I was trying to think, when did we actually start? Maybe October or November, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I want to say, yeah, that sounds about right. It was definitely before the holidays. I want to say, yeah, early November
Yeah,
was really when we got started.
yeah. So we've been at it for a couple months now, and finally feel like we
Yeah.
have like 45 minutes to an hour together, which is great. We're gonna start booking some shows soon, and we also have been doing some recording. We're gonna release our first band demo at the beginning of March, which is exciting, and yeah,
Oh
actually
yeah.
have something to listen to. Which
Yeah. It's been an interesting process just because I'm not very savvy with recording. Like seeing your process and kind of experience that's a whole that's a whole new world for me.
it's a total nightmare. Let me tell you, getting things to
Yeah.
work right and all that stuff. But yeah, we should actually go through that sometime, and if you're interested anyway, and I could just show you kind of what I do and what my process
Yeah,
is,
that
and yeah, most of
I
the
think
time.
it would be awesome, not just for me, but also how other people can kind of take a look into
Yeah, we should probably do it together or live stream. That's not a bad
yeah.
idea.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Show everyone what's up. I have been doing some Sunday songwriting live streams, so if you're interested in that, there's a couple that are in our Facebook video live
Hmm.
stream um, catalog.
Yeah.
And yeah,
That's a
okay.
pretty cool concept. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of forcing me to at least do something with it. And we jammed out a
Hmm.
couple of those last night. You threw in a couple new ideas. So we have a rehearsal at my place on an electronic kit, um, and we kind of what would you say? Kind of like work through parts and write during that rehearsal.
Yeah, it's not so much rehearsal as it is.
That's a good
It's
point.
like part rehearsal, part I really call it like brainstorming, like it's songwriting. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's more of a songwriting session because we can just kind of hear each other and really don't have to worry about are our volumes right, stepping over each other's toes. We could just kind of play together and really talk through stuff. I think that's also another important part is being able to communicate
Mm-hmm.
oh, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing there? Like really dig into the parts of the songs that we may not have like understood before, or may not have even heard before, been like, oh wait, I didn't know you were doing that, let's work on this. So um
Yeah, and you guys,
yeah, it's been I feel like those are some of our most fruitful nights, when we can just sit down and like hear everything.
yeah, definitely would agree with that. And that's a great point too. Like slowing everything down. Everyone's a really quick learner too, which is great. So we got, go over things a couple times and it's like bang, there it is. But yeah, just being able to like low volume talk through things and
Hmm.
slow everything down has been really productive for us. All right, so yeah, I guess
Yeah,
go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's that's also something I've never really done before, and I think it's an awesome concept that's been really working
Yeah,
for us and how we're doing things.
yeah.
So
So just to clue everyone in, we do that on Tuesday. We'll come in and have a little kind of quiet rehearse practice, I should say, or songwriting session or whatever you want to say. And then
mhm.
on Thursday we go down to the studio and crank everything up and try to run live sound and figure all that stuff out too. So far so good. And then,
Mhm.
like I said before, we have almost everything done recording wise, and we're starting to mix our first, I don't know, what you call a single, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Uh,
called a single.
band demo. So we're going to release that early March. Just got to get the time to sit down and listen to it a few more times and tweak a little bit more. Yeah. All right. So let's quick. We're gonna go to guitar shopping online, which I thought would be fun in a little bit. But really quickly, I want to kind of hit on where you started with guitar. Like, was there something like growing up? Did something come on the radio, or did your parents play something, or like what made you pick up the guitar in the first place, or listen to music really?
Yeah, actually, that's probably the best place to start. My parents had always had the radio on, like everyone's parents.
Mm-hmm.
They always had the radio on, and they'd always play like the rock stations. My dad was a very big Tom Petty
Oh
fan,
yeah.
Bob Dylan,
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Skinner, things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And my mom, she liked those things too, but she was more on the like R&B pop kind of side of
Oh, cool.
things,
Yeah.
like Billy Joel, Sade.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there was a lot of musical influences there, but my biggest influence for music was actually my sister Summer. She's 3 years older than me. She would always find, uh, you know, from different sources that she knew, but she would always hand me like CDs and cassette tapes and
Nice.
just kind of be like, here, listen to this.
Yeah.
And so from there, I really discovered grunge. Grunge really was kind of like my first big musical influence for me. So
Cool. What was there a certain?
Nirvana, of
Okay, I
course,
was gonna say. Yeah,
Soundgarden,
yeah.
um, and then the punk side of things like Green Day, like Dookie was probably the first cassette tape I ever bought.
Nice. Yeah.
uh,
Mine was
so
Nirvana.
from there, my sister she really did provide a lot of influence on how I viewed music. And from there, it just kind of lit that idea of, oh, maybe I could play guitar,
Mm-hmm.
because you always have friends who they pick it up and you kind of go, well, maybe I could do this too. And it just kind of led from there. My parents, I remember, bought me this black and white like Strat looking copy from, I don't know if it was from some catalog, but the brand, I can't forget it. It was like Sin Sonic.
Hmm.
It was like SYNSONIC.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just like this cheap Strat copy. But I tried. I tried to learn how to play, and it wasn't really until I got like an Epiphone Les Paul that it really started to sink in. Like, oh man, this is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And all I would do is just listen to songs that I liked and try to play the riffs from them. So like, I think one of the first songs I tried to learn, of course, was "Smoke on the Water," because my dad showed me how to play that because he knew how to
He plays
play
guitar
that.
too.
Um, and then I think the first song I tried to learn myself was My Own Summer by the
Oh,
Deftones.
nice. Yeah.
And I did not understand what tuning was or timing. And it was just a matter of like fumbling through that main riff. But yeah, keeping up with it and being around other people who also like to be in bands, who also like to play music, go to shows. That was also a very big thing that we would always do, is that we would always go to concerts.
What was your first show?
My first show,
Yeah.
geez. Well, my first like real show that I would call like my first real concert was at it was called the Electric Factory. I forgot what the hell it's called now. Like Franklin Hill or Franklin Mill or something like that. I don't know. They renamed it.
Yeah.
It was the I think it was called the Tattoo the Earth tour.
Yeah, with Slipknot and Mudvayne and was that?
Oh no. So that was different. Oh no, it wasn't that one.
Oh.
I forgot. I did go to Tattoo the Earth, one of the first ones up in Montage Mountain, and yeah, you're right. It was Slipknot and I think Slayer.
Oh,
yeah, it was Slayer.
Nice.
Yeah, I went to that much later in my teenagehood. But my first concert, it wasn't Tattoo the Earth. It was called some other kind of tour, but it was Puya.
Oh yeah. With the Deftones?
They were pretty awesome. What's that?
With the Deftones?
No, it was Puya,
just by themselves.
Incubus.
Oh yeah.
In the System of a Down.
I might have been at that show actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think because I definitely remember seeing Puya. I couldn't remember if they were with the Deftones or not at the time, but I definitely saw Incubus. Yeah, I was probably at that show.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was like when System of a Down was fresh off of releasing their first album. And it was phenomenal. Like that was one of those images I'll never forget, where you just see the entire crowd, however many people are crammed into this room, just jumping in sync. And you just feel the ground rumbling. Like it was amazing.
Yeah, I remember they took like a pot smoking break too, and like halfway through, I was like, wow, that's pretty bold, especially back then.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right, so
good for them.
Yeah, whatever floats your boat, I guess. Yeah, but I was definitely at that show. My first one was Nirvana, actually. At
dude, lucky.
Yeah, man. It was in Utero tour. It was pretty much as everything was blowing up.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was right in Lehigh University used to have a like they used to book shows at their I guess they use it for graduation and stuff, but it was a Stabler Arena. So yeah, that was pretty exciting.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy to see, like, he was so popular, and then to see him walk out on stage, just this little dude, like, kind of hunched over a little bit. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. It kind of like, I feel like the 90s kind of screwed things up a little bit, because it like talent got through and poked through, and like that's what became important. When I think before, like the 80s, it was more like image and shtick and things like that. Not that it wasn't
showmanship and all that.
Not that it didn't happen in the 90s, but I feel like growing up in that, like you would kind of expect that to be the norm, and you're kind of in for a rude awakening, I think.
Yeah, right.
I was. Yeah, I was like, oh, you just have to practice really hard, be talented, and things will happen. It's like, no. Now you have to live stream. All right, so what about your first band? Like, you just look for people right away to play with, or?
It was all friends. Like my circle of friends, everyone played something, basically. My first band, I think I told you this story about, it was at a talent show. We called ourselves The Last Autograph because it was taken off of a poster that was in our drummer's basement. It was about like James Dean.
Oh yeah.
And he got like a ticket, like a speeding ticket, right before he got into a car crash and died.
Mm.
And so it was a poster of his speeding ticket with his signature on it, and that was apparently his very last autograph. I
Oh,
don't know how legitimate that is or if
cares?
that story is true, but that's what the poster was.
Yeah.
We just thought it was a cool name. So
Yeah, it's a good story too.
um yeah, right.
Yeah, we should make one up.
That's pretty it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Good
But yeah, we
backstory.
we had like three songs.
Nice.
um
All,
it did not last very long,
all
but
original?
yeah, it was an experience. It was
Yeah.
one of those things where it's like you think you know how to be in a band, and you think you know how to play with other people, and it's you really don't.
Yeah.
You really, there's so much more that goes into it,
Yeah.
um than just, oh yeah, you just show up with your instrument and you just guys just play.
God,
Like
I wish it's that easy. Yeah.
that's it's definitely not that easy.
I know we had discussed it before too, but I always say like, all right, there's one thing to play well by yourself. There's one thing to play well with a group of people, and then there's one way, and then there's playing well with a group of people in front of another group of people. They're just completely
Yeah,
different
definitely.
worlds. Yeah. So did you start like writing music right away for your first band, or did you play covers, or how'd that work out?
Yeah, we had one original song that I like toiled over. Like it really, like that's why I only had one song for that band, because
Yeah.
I just wanted to. I had the mentality of you just gotta take parts and you just gotta fit them together, and you just mash as many parts together and boom, you have a song, um, with no like idea of composition or feel or anything like that.
Yeah.
So because I spent so much time on that one dumb song, uh, there wasn't really any other original. So it was just like, all right, let's learn some covers.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, after we learned the covers, which I'm sure, as you know, covers can be, you end up taking too much time on them.
Yep. I've done
And
that
then,
before.
yeah. So then it was just like kind of fizzled out from there. I think I was like 17 or 18,
Do you remember the song?
somewhere around there.
Like, could you play the song?
What's up?
Do you remember the song?
Oh, God, no.
I was trying to think back.
No way.
Yeah, I'd have to. Do you have tapes or anything like from back then?
There might be a video recording
Oh, yeah.
of us playing somewhere, maybe at my parents' house,
Mm-hmm.
or I might have the tape. I don't even know if there's even devices to play. Like, forgot
Yeah.
what format that would
I
be.
used to, when I first started recording, everything was on, like, you can buy a blank cassette and just basically use a mic. I had a little handheld stereo that came with had a mic in it, so I would just play into that.
Right.
Yeah. And I have a stack of tapes sitting somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I want to say it was a DVR. Like it was not a TV. There were like these really really tiny tapes
Yeah, I had
that
those too. Yeah.
we would record on, like, and it's probably chilling in one of those, and either somewhere in my storage or somewhere in my parents' storage, somewhere that we'll find many many years later, or maybe we'll never find them, and that might be a good
Yeah,
thing.
it might be for the best. Yeah, that's what I say too. Well, maybe these things will just go in the trash this year. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe someone will be like, I don't know what this is. Psh.
Yeah. So, what about bands like more not necessarily more recent, but like what are you into now that you're um, further along in guitar playing? Like, how did that change, or are you still pretty much where you were?
It really, I think what happened so early on when I really got into like heavier music, Tool, Deftones, and industrial metal too, like Nine Inch Nails,
Oh yeah.
Fear Factory. Those types of things were just like I listened to the same things over and over for years. Didn't really change much. It wasn't until I got like a little bit older and kind of ventured out on my own into the musical landscape and kind of go, oh, there are other things that you can jump into that are still cool. Like, and also with the help of the internet, making everything so widely available, you can kind of go, I didn't know these things existed. I didn't know, you know, I didn't know who Nick Drake was. I didn't know, you know, these certain parts of the world had awesome music. And having the internet, I think, just accelerated things. But I really started to gear more towards like more experimental, you know, beyond just the typical like rock format, you know, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, you know, that whole thing. Not you know, not knocking on that, but just my mind started to open to those non kind of linear formats and went more towards like the Mars Volta, Russian Circles, just and that and a band like Russian Circles really opened up my mind to a lot of to that whole like post genre where the focus was not on vocals at all. There weren't vocals like them and I can't remember. There was another like indie band. Can't my brain is mush right now, but
mine is too.
But like that whole genre of like rock music without vocals, like I didn't realize that was a thing. And so I was kind of like Red Sparrows. That's another one. I'm trying to think off the top. That kind of dragged me towards those like guitar driven type genres, that it wasn't all about just, you know, noodling. And I've never really been very big, like, you know, Van Halen, the 80s, like you brought up like the 1980s, what was really big then, like that I've never really been into that. It's cool, like I understand it's catchy and the talent involved is insane, but it never struck a chord with me. It was always about what is the composition, what does it feel like, where does it take me, you know, what's the journey I'm going to be on if I, you know, when I listen to this. So that's really been like the main, like that's like my main criteria. It's like, where does it take me?
And I think that's why you and I kind of hit it off.
Definitely
playing wise too. Like, not only am I hearing a lot of bands I also listen to and enjoy, but like I think early on we hit on like a you know, I like being simple. I know you do too. I'm not a shredder by any stretch of the imagination. I'm the same way. I like that more kind of melodic. Tell me a story with your solo and not like rip 1,000 notes. So it almost like happens too fast when they shred. Like my brain can't process it. It just sounds like a block of something. It goes in one ear and out the other.
It's true. I know we had this conversation about animals as leaders.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like very, you know, very talented, but it's just so much. Like I almost want to say it's borderline indulgent. Like it's too indulgent. Like it's there's nothing that I can really like I don't want to say dumb it down for me, but there's nothing for me to really grab onto and kind of go, oh, this is the central core to the song. All I hear is flurry of notes, you know.
It's hard for my brain to process, period. That's the only way I can describe it. Shoot, I just wanted to ask you a question that went out of my mind. Oh, have you ever played an 8-string?
So I've never played an 8-string. Ever. I'm not entirely sure. Like that's getting into the realm of like, all right, I might as well just pick up a bass and start playing bass if I'm going to go there.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's like people don't want to play bass. Why not? It's awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's so much fun. Just get 2 basses, you know?
Yeah, they're basically gluing your guitar next to a bass neck anyway. It's just like, just pick up a bass.
And I love the ones that are like the fretboard is like this wide long, and there's like 9 strings on there,
Yeah.
and I'm just wondering, like, my hands are small, but like I'm just thinking, like, how do you just kind of do one of these things? You just kind of like dance on top of those. I wouldn't be able to play that.
Yeah, me neither. I bought a 7 string once because it was cheap, like cheap at a Guitar Center, and came with an amp. So I was like, I need a guitar because I was playing bass at the time in a band, and I was like, I
Mhm.
need a guitar just to write with, which was not the greatest. And I had a 5 string at the time too, so I figured, all right, I'll get a 7 string and a 5 string, not realizing that you play them completely differently. So I ended up just
You
kind of
really do.
yeah, just kind of sitting there, not doing much with it, but yeah, it was the same
I
thing.
feel like 7 string would be like, if I were to do like the extra string, that would be the most I could ever do.
Yeah.
Um, like I said, I'm a big Deftones fan, and
Mm.
I know that every album after White Pony was like all 7 string.
Yeah.
And there's some fantastic songs that they've written with 7 strings,
Mhm.
but that really would be. I almost feel like if you're gonna go lower, just get a baritone. Like a
Yeah.
baritone
Yeah. Yeah.
guitar
Mhm.
are fantastic. I feel like they're kind of overlooked. Some people have kind of caught on to the usefulness of baritones more recently.
Mhm.
Um, that I can understand. I can see going down that avenue.
I always wanted to try like one guy in standard, one guy in baritone, one bass, or whatever, girl guy, whatever.
Mhm.
And try to set up like a, like a harmony that way. I wonder what that would sound like.
Yeah,
I'm sure
that
bands
would.
have done it.
I bet that would sound definitely. I think it would add some kind of cool textural sound to it.
Yeah.
Having those wide difference in tuning.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that would be cool.
Yeah. And just I think Deftones have every album they've tuned lower and lower and lower, and now it got to the point where the bass player plays like a bass that's a guitar, kind of like a 6 string. Have you seen that thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they call them bass six.
Yeah. 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 That's
It's
it.
yeah. I've actually
I guess I could
I've
pull it up.
seen so one. I cannot talk about guitars or guitar based music without bringing up Thrice. So I'm just going to do
Yeah.
it and
Do
get it
it.
out of the
Do
way
it.
because it's going to happen.
Yeah. Let me see. I'll pull up
But they've
Deftones.
Thrice have used baritones, and they've also used a bass six
Oh,
on a
that's
couple of their
yeah.
songs with great effect. And once again, it's all about approach. It's all about how you apply those things. Where it's like you get to like 7 strings, 8 strings. You know what that music's going to sound like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whereas like you get to baritones, you get to those like weird, like even like 12 strings and things like that. You can be a lot more experimental, or at least from what I've seen, the evidence shows like people are a lot more experimental with those types of instruments.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the whole down tuning craze. I think Alice in Chains might have really kicked it off. Well, the drop D in the
Mm.
'90s, and then Alice in Chains going half step down. I'm just gonna bounce over to the web here. All right, can you see that?
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna block that. So this is even crazier because it's got a whammy bar on it. Do you play a tremolo at all, or have you?
I think I tried one
Oh my
a long
goodness.
time ago
Yeah.
and realized that it was just something I would never
Me
use.
either. I'm just like, I guess it sounds cool, but it just basically is just asking to go out of tune every time.
Yeah, like there's the whole like My Bloody Valentine vibrato craziness that you can
Right.
add like a whole bunch of just fuzz and reverb and just kind of go nuts on them. But and then of course like Van Halen, like Eddie Van Halen was a monster with those things. But yeah, for my use, nah, I don't know if I could really get much out of that.
Yeah. So what is this? Is this like between? Is this like a baritone basically, or
I
just
don't know
tuned
what
down?
is the scale length on it, because I think for a baritone it needs to be like, I think it's like 27 inches is like standard.
Oh, C neck, nice. Where are we here? Radius 21 frets. It's kind of an odd number.
Yeah, a little bit.
Where is it here?
Oh, there it is, scaling 30 inches.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that's probably
yeah. That's definitely baritone territory. No,
yeah.
I think so. I don't even know what a bass is anymore. All right. Well, this is a good segue into guitar shopping. You had sent me some links that I want to check out. Really quickly though, there's some news that came out today. Foo Fighters put out what is it, a thrashy black metal inspired song or something like that. Have you heard that yet?
No.
Yeah, they just put it out today. I listened to it and it definitely sounds like almost like like Swedish thrash, like the church
Yeah.
burn. Maybe it's not Swedish. I don't want to call out the wrong thing, but it's like somewhere up there where they had like the kind of black metal for a while, and they had those kind of like piercing vocals. He does his best impression at that. It kind of reminded me. Do you know he did that record? This is Dave Grohl we're talking about. Probot. Have you ever heard that?
No, I haven't.
He put together like a bunch of people. I think around the time when he first started like recording with Queens.
Mm,
So he pulled a lot of those guys in it, and he wrote a song with Lemmy from Motorhead. That was actually pretty good.
of course.
Right. And
How would you pass that up?
yeah,
Like,
right, yeah. So I guess he's kind of this it sounded like a little bit of a callback to what that album kind of sounded like. All right.
is it just the lighting in that, or his
No,
eyes like
his eyes are
pitch
blacked
black?
out. Yeah, I guess for the video, he got a little, you know,
That's pretty rad.
into the dark side there. Yeah, it looks kind of painful actually. Did you see the guy who tattooed his entire face? Like he's turning into the black alien. Have you seen that cat?
Oh,
Oh my god! If you
it's
have some
wild.
time, no, it's kind of disturbing actually.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's really bad. Like the subcutaneous shapes on his head and just bizarre stuff. Oh, he cut his upper lip off and his two fingers, so he has a claw now.
What the
And
what?
that's like part of his body mods. And I'm like, dude, maybe talk with somebody.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude needs to chill a little.
Yeah.
Like,
Like you can't play guitar
whoa.
anymore. At least not with that hand. I think he did it to both hands. So imagine playing guitar. I guess what's his name? Django Reinhardt did it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think he just had these.
Yeah. Crazy.
The other two were like kind of hurt from the fire accident.
Mm-hmm. And when Tony Iommi had his finger accident, someone brought
Hmm.
him a Django record and was like, "Listen to this guy shred. He's got two fingers," and kind of pulled him out of like being depressed about it. From what I heard,
Man,
pretty cool story.
man, to think
I know. I
to
don't even
think
want
to not have either of them,
No, I
like
know.
you can't imagine that.
Or even just having non-functional fingers and stuff like that. Just crazy. I'm I'm
Yeah,
I'm grateful for sure. All right, so
indeed.
you had sent me some guitars because we were both kind of jonesing for like some new guitars. I've been playing the same guitar for like 10 years straight up. I got the fret divots
Right
to
on.
prove it. So we're just kind of kicking around some things, and you had sent me this. I had never even heard of this before. A Wilshire P90. It kind of reminds me of like a Dan Electro a little bit, like the bottom horn's a little bit bigger, which I like. But what is it about this one that caught your eye?
So I I'm a sucker for P90s. I used to have one. I used to have a P90 Gibson Les Paul.
Oh, okay.
Like the look of it didn't really match it was like a honey burst. It was all right. Like I think for the money it was too much. So like seeing an Epiphone with P90s was like, all right, awesome. But Epiphone doesn't have a lot of P90 guitars other than like a Les Paul shape or an SG shape.
Mm-hmm.
So I stumbled upon this Wilshire, which is apparently a reissue. They've have like three versions. There's a Coronet, which is single P90, the Wilshire, which is double P90, and then a Coron. They have a third one that has mini humbuckers.
Oh, nice.
And I was drawn to this because it's kind of like an SG, but it's really not.
It
Like
does kind of
like
look
you
like it.
said, it's more like Dan Electro, very very, I don't know, just kind of vintage, old school style that I really like. And the fact that it has, the four knobs, two tone, two volume.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing too that I really liked about this, that I still don't understand why, and maybe one day I'll look it up to find the reason. Les Pauls like are great and they're very comfortable, but there's no reason that the pickup selector should be like up in the corner.
So, okay, I like this. I like where this is going because I was just thinking about this. I don't like mine back with my volume and tone knob because I'll go to, I want
Really?
to go flip the switch and like say play a solo or something, but I like where my tone and volume knob is. 100% of the time I'll smash it and then screw those up trying to toggle that switch where I've actually only played maybe Les Paul once or twice in a Guitar Center.
Really?
Yeah, and really haven't even I haven't really gotten a chance to just play a lot of stuff. So
Mhm.
this may be something I should do a little bit more too. But where you like
Yeah,
yours
I
by the
I agree. There's a lot of things that I just have not ever attempted to try. I've, yeah, you could go to a guitar store and just try a bunch of different ones.
what is it about the P90s that you like?
They're just mean. Like they can sound really sweet and nice, but they just have this kind of mid-range
Oh yeah.
like attack that with the right, you don't even need like gobs of gain or anything.
So
You could just add a little bit,
mhm.
and it's all about how hard you play into it.
I
If you hit it hard, it will respond,
yep.
and that kind of response is awesome. Like I haven't really, like there's a lot of like single coil type stuff, but you don't get that meanness. You don't
Mhm.
get that like aggressiveness that you will with a P90. But the other drawback to it is that P90s can be noisy.
Yeah.
They can be kind of a beast to tame if you play them loud.
Like a good fuzz pedal, right?
Exactly,
Yeah. I
exactly.
know
Just make it messy.
yeah. I know you and I have talked about this too, but I've been digging like lower output pickups too. Like I don't really want to have this brick wall distorted
Mm,
tone. Um, so yeah, maybe trying to back off a little bit more. And I know we talked about having complementary tones too, and making some room for each other there as well. All
yeah,
right.
I think that would be a cool idea to look into.
Yep. All right. So let's skip over to this next one here. This is the Dunnable Cyclops, which I was digging on these guys. Just a different one, of course, that I'm looking at. But um, yeah, go ahead. Where'd you find these, and what makes you like the Cyclops?
So Donable is he's an independent builder. He's not like some huge company or anything like that. He got to start making custom guitars. And this line, this DE line, is his more affordable, just like very straightforward. I'm pretty sure they're actually constructed in South Korea,
Mm-hmm.
but they're under his direction as far as like the shape. Um, I found out about Dunnable through the YouTube show 2 Minutes to Late Night.
Oh yeah.
A bunch of the guys that are on there have Dunnable guitars, and I found out like a bunch of people play Dunnables, and they're just like crazy cool. Like they're a nice mixture of um, kind of modern,
Mm-hmm.
but also kind of classic
Yeah,
looking.
yeah, yeah.
Like I think this is like the pointiest guitar I could ever like,
I was gonna ask you about that
because it's,
because you had mentioned that before. Yeah.
yeah, I like I for me, like look at me, I'm not the most like cool looking person, so like I can't see myself with like a flying V or something like
Yeah, they
that.
always
So,
look.
so like something like this is probably as far as what I would go, that would look okay on me.
And you know what else I really miss that this has is a pick guard. Like I want to say in the early 2000s or sometime in there, everyone's like, nope, we want to just strip everything off of it and just have the wood. And I was like, all right, but it looks like it's missing something all the time to me.
Right?
I don't know. I just like the
Yeah,
wood.
I agree. I like the kind of offset, the like asymmetry
Yeah,
that a pick guard kind of adds to things.
yeah, definitely get some flow happening.
Right?
Yeah. All right. So those are
But
just
yeah,
yeah. Go ahead.
the other cool thing about this that I really like, um, is that it is a 25 and a half inch
Okay.
scale. So that's a Fender scale. It's not your
Yeah.
24 and 3/4 inch scale of like a Gibson or an SG. So it's really geared towards downtune, heavy kind of playing.
I think that's one of the other things that kept me away from Gibson a little bit is that the headstocks always break off, the scale length
Yeah.
is shorter, and what was the other one? It just seemed like they had some like the same thing with Fender. They had some like really bizarre like design and build choices, like
Mm-hmm.
string trees. I mean, I get it, but just like weird stuff kind of tacked on. I feel like things could be like simpler and but certain brands catch on and certain styles catch on. And it doesn't really matter.
Right.
So
Hey, isn't that the one on there? Isn't that the shape that you like?
the RD.
Yeah, the RD,
So
that's
yeah,
it.
what were they playing on? What is it? 2 minutes to late night.
I
What?
think, yeah, I think that's Gorsenio Hall plays I think like a white one.
Nice. Yeah. So this is I don't. I've never ever been into like this shape where I was relatively traditional. I always thought until recently, and now I've been like turn everything upside down and backwards, and yeah, I'll take it. So I have been leaning more into
It's
these,
cool.
yeah, more into these body styles. Let me see if I can get back in here without screwing that up. With this, I feel like it'd be balanced a lot better too with this weight in the back upper part of the body. Like it would. I always had guitars that had neck dive really bad, and that I
Hmm.
always felt like I was holding them up with my hand instead of just naturally letting it kind of sit there. So these always really
I
interest
was
me.
I was gonna say that like contour looks like it would sit pretty nice on your leg, but
Hmm.
also, with your body being forward on it, like it looks comfortable. I've never played one like that, but
Nah, me neither. I'm definitely jonesing for something like this though. There was also I was telling you about the Balaguer brand
mhm,
that was out of I think they're out of Pottstown or something like that. They have a
that's cool.
they have a Hyperion. They have a call one that's called it's kind of like a Firebird ish. It's kind of maybe in between an RD and a Firebird shape wise, but very similar to this.
Interesting.
Yeah. They're hard to find though. Actually, that one I was looking at is already sold.
Oh,
So
damn.
yeah, what are you gonna do? He had some.
You said that they were selling those out of the place that's near you, right? The sound parcel.
Yeah. So can get them from the factory, but this one was just used up on reverb. Um, pays to keep your. I know we would talk about that AC30. It pays to keep your eyes out for that kind of stuff on marketplace and reverb and stuff like that. So yeah, I would love to get something in this vein as a next guitar setup. All right, let's see what else you got here. The Ultra Max. Yeah, this is all great stuff because I've never really gotten too into these or know a whole lot about them, and you're already. Um,
Yeah.
Bala Gear had the same thing you were talking about, where they have some. Their lower models are made in South Korea, but spec
Mhm.
to QC'd here.
Right.
Um, oh, so again, drop tunings, yeah.
Yeah, and Hagstrom, they're a Swedish brand,
Hmm.
and I don't know. Lately I've been more. I don't know. For some reason, I get I get really tired of going. All right, am I gonna buy a Gibson or am I gonna buy a Fender? And it's
Yeah,
like, dude, there's so much stuff out
yeah,
there.
especially
There's
now.
different things now. Like something like this, like I mentioned before, it's I kind of don't like really pointy kind of
Yeah,
guitars. This is more like classic looking, but this is also another thing, 25 and a half inch scale, has some other things that are very me, like you meant the toggle switch. The toggle
Yeah,
switch is
yeah.
down lower, but it's like back and
Oh
out of the
yeah, look
way,
at
which
that.
is kind of
Yeah,
cool.
kind of a funky bridge too. There, like some kind of, I don't know if it's like a how that works. Well, kind of like
Yeah,
a
it's
string
it's
tree
kind of like a bridge, like
or a
not like a typical bridge, but like it looks like a cover, but
yeah.
they kind of just like suspend like underneath it,
Okay.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I used to have when I played bass, I had a oh my god, what's the Lemmy bass and the Cliff Burton bass? Well, Rickenbacker. I don't know why I'm blanking on it. I
Yes.
had a Rickenbacker and it had this like cover over the one pickup. Like, what is this even for? And then ended up taking it off, and it was plastic. I still don't understand what they used it for. It was bizarre.
That is bizarre.
Yeah,
There has to be a reason for that.
yeah. It was on the pickup ring, but it was over the strings, so the strings would pass through it. It was just really weird.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't even metal. Yeah, so they also Hagstrom also has kind of a reverse offset body style too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, they don't have too many. Like Hackstrom's really known um for their older models. Like I think they were kind of hip in the
oh
70s, and
okay.
then I think it was like the 70s or 80s, and then they kind of reinvented themselves, and then they don't have too many models out. Like this is one of the few that I've actually been able to find kind of like in retailers.
Oh really?
Um,
I
yeah,
might
and I
give it a
think
shot.
Pat Smear also
Oh
has
okay.
he has a signature that's kind of like an SG type thing.
What kind of do you have like a neck that you look for? I'm just looking at this shot of the neck down there.
See, I'm always like I don't like the guitar the Sheraton that I have is
Mhm.
very flat and very wide.
Mhm.
And I remember when I first got it, I had to really get used to it. Now it's super
Sure.
comfortable to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think I have like an absolute type of guitar neck that I automatically go for. Yeah, it just kind of depends, I guess. I know you like baseball bat, like chunky
I
ones.
do, but I haven't. I don't know if that comes from bass playing or what. Even like I think the one I had, the PRS I have now, is kind of a middle of the road neck, and I'm like, oh man, I
All
wish
right.
I had a little bit more meat to it. And then
Mm-hmm.
my Stingray bass, I feel is a little too boxy. Like it's too thin and wide. It's not too wide because
Yeah.
I don't mind it wide, but um, it really feels like I think it must be like a D shape or like a thin. I want to say it's a thin D because it's pretty flat on the top and then it's pretty skinny widthwise too. And it's just like you
Mm-hmm.
get used to it after a while, but it's just not very comfortable.
Mm.
So that's something
Yeah.
else I'll have
Yeah.
to.
You want something that you're gonna play,
Yeah.
for a while.
And like we said before, like we're not shredders, so I'm not looking for something super thin or like I'd be interested
Mm-hmm.
to try a compound radius, which
So one of the guitars I was looking at, I think I sent it to you, was I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. It's either a Fano or
oh
Fano.
yeah.
They have um I'm not sure if they do this for all their guitars, but I was looking at the JM6, which is like a jazz master basically,
Mhm.
and it had a compound radius. So it was uh 9.5 at the nut, like a Fender, like a regular Fender.
Mhm.
But then as you go up the fret, it turns into a 12-inch,
Yeah,
like
I thought that was kind of
like
cool.
a uh, like a Gibson,
Mhm.
so that it gives you kind of like better access, and it's supposed to be more comfortable.
Yeah.
But that's one of those experimental things that I'm like, I don't know. I would really have to like play that
Yeah.
for a while to see. It could be mind blowing. It could be like total game changer, but
I think it's the biggest part for me about buying guitars online too is like
right.
it's right away when you grab the neck if you're gonna like it or not or if it's gonna take some getting used
Mm-hmm.
to, and there's no way you can do that so without buying it first.
But like But the reverse, or the opposite of that, is going to a shop and trying guitars. But like I've done that, and at least around here,
Yeah.
everywhere sucks.
Yeah.
Like I hate to say it, like I like, I trust me, I love like mom and pop
Sure.
shops,
Yeah.
smaller stores. I've gone to Guitar Villa a couple of times. They're really cool there.
Hmm.
Dave Phillips was another one. That there's not one in Allentown anymore, but they still have the Phillipsburg one.
Yeah.
It's another great shop. But like when you walk in there, there's nothing really there. You go to
No.
Guitar Center, the things that they have, there's nothing that great, and they don't really set them up. They're not good to play. It's
Yeah.
like it's kind of hard to get to a shop and find things you want to play, at least in our area. Now, I'm sure if you went to New York, you
Sure.
went to Philly, you'd have a better chance.
I feel like something weird happened too, where it was kind of going, it was on its way out. Like Dave Phillips closed in Allentown, but now it's kind of
Mhm.
come back a little bit. I don't know if it's the pandemic, everyone just has a lot of time now, or what's going on, but there's kind of like this
Yeah, it's a good point.
swing back to it. So I think Guitar Center was supposed to go out of business like a couple times or whatever, but
Hmm.
they seem to be hanging on too. I think the internet, yeah, definitely has a hand in that as well. But
Oh, definitely.
yeah, now you can just sell it to right to each other. Gotta keep my fingers crossed for that amp. I just got someone
Oh yeah.
message me. All right, so let's just quick rundown. We're just about at about an hour. So let's run down this Troy Van Leeuwen Jazzmaster 2 right quick, and then I want to show you the Espada from Bala Gear because it looks a lot like this, but it's pretty cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, I chose this one just because I love Troy Van Leeuwen.
Yeah.
Like, um, the I wanted to say, like, as when I first heard your music and kind of got that Queens of the Stone Age
Yeah,
vibe,
yeah.
I was like, oh my god, original music of a kind of genre
Yeah,
that I
yeah,
like.
yeah.
You know, I gotta jump on this. I gotta do something about it. And once we started playing, I'm like, man, this is really cool. Like this is really like what I've been looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking about, not saying that I want us to copy what Queens does, but I just started to think about the dynamic of what Queens does and like how they do it. And I always like, I've been a fan of Troy Van Leeuwen for a long time. I loved him in A Perfect Circle. He was in the original lineup for A Perfect
Yep, yep.
Circle. He was in Failure. I'm not sure if he did. No, he was in Queen. He's still in
Mm-hmm.
Queens, but um, he recently was in The Armed, which is like this crazy post-hardcore band. Um, like he's just one of those people who does that weird thing. He does his own thing, and it always sounds cool. Like it always sounds good. Um, and he had this signature that I thought was just like, it's like kind of crazy looking, but also really cool.
Yeah, yeah. As far as Queens goes, that was always a band, and I think one of the first couple emails we had back and forth, he like rattled off a whole bunch of bands. I was like, oh yeah, because you know the the tie that binds all those groups together, and that's what you really like.
Mm-hmm.
So when you hear those like sequence of bands, it's like, oh yeah, you get like the shuffle feel maybe, or like the swagger, the vibe of it. That's really
Mm-hmm.
what. Yeah, you can kind of get down to the nitty gritty of what you really like about that. So that was super exciting for me. And like the stuff you brought in writing wise too is like right in line with everything else, which was great. So yeah, let me quick pull up an Espada. Don't look at my search history.
Divert your eyes.
Yeah, I'll have to cut that out. Oh, they have the Silver Burst because those are incredibly popular.
Ooh.
Yeah, I figured this would be up your alley with the Jazzmaster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think I forget what the neck pickup is. It might even be either stacked or it might even be a single coil. I don't know.
It looks like a Telecaster type.
Yeah, up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of another, if we're gonna list off more like guitar
Oh
heroes,
yeah, do it up.
Johnny Greenwood.
Oh yeah, I just
Um,
had a good story about him. Go ahead.
yeah, he I just love the setup of it, but he plays it's I think it's called a Fender Telecaster Plus,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically a lace sensor
Oh yeah.
humbucker in the bridge, and then a single coil in the neck. And I love that. Like that idea to me is exactly like the sound that I would play. Like so, like seeing that guitar you were just showing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Spada.
Okay, so that's a little different. So the one
Oh,
he
sorry,
has
what about
doesn't
the?
have two.
Sorry.
It's just a single.
Gotcha. Oh, it's got this one's got three.
Yeah, that one's got
Yeah,
three.
you don't see that very often.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah. All right. I get what you're saying though.
But the one that you were showing, that one that's what it reminds me of. Like it kind of has
Oh
that
yeah, with the
cool
other.
capability of
Yeah, both of them.
like using the neck for kind of clean, cool stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then the bridge is like
Do you solo
aggressive.
in the neck position at all, or are you more bridge? Like you prefer
I
bridge over?
really depend. So for one of our songs, I definitely use the bridge, or I'm sorry, I use the neck,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think the rest of them I just kind of keep the
I
bridge.
prefer bridge, but like for solo, I like solos, or I find when I use fuzz pedals, a lot of times I will switch over to the neck.
Yeah,
Just
that's always a, I don't know why, but like the neck pickup tracks really well
mm-hmm.
for fuzz pedals. It
Yeah,
just sounds great.
and to Queens to bring Queens in here more. I feel like they had like the backwards tone a lot too, where they would roll off. They would use more bassy things, but roll off the tone knobs and
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of mid kind of EQ in there. There was some good like how they recorded songs for the deaf. Like
I
you
think I've
saw that?
watched every single one
Yeah,
of
it was
those.
cool, and it was really cool like insight. And it wasn't always the best gear. It was just like whatever was made sense at the time.
No, I think the story was that they would roll into pawn shops and buy up all the cheap amps that they could find,
Yeah.
and they just wanted to basically get all these crazy kind of crappy tones, and um, that's what they recorded, and they just figured, oh, we'll use like four of these.
Yeah, like we wanted to sound like that.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
but they,
Oh yeah, yeah, totally
yeah,
intentional.
they created a whole sound for sure.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah,
People love, yeah, it's like one of the most sought after kind of tones for an album.
yeah, and did down tuning too. That was a significant. They were in, I think,
Mhm.
C standard, right? For at least that one. They're
Yeah.
back up to the standard though now. You know that? Yeah,
Really?
their new album is standard, or a big chunk of it
That's
is.
surprising.
Yeah, very surprising. I wonder if it's because they don't. He does a lot of falsetto. He's not as
Hmm.
like I feel like I was talking to one of the other Dave Dahl, who's in another local band here. We were on a live stream. And, I wanted to talk to you about this. We have way too much. We have to come back and do this again. But
Definitely.
about tuning, where we should be tuning to, um, because there's a certain note like neck and neck. When I started playing that in its original key was an F in standard tuning, but the high A, I can't hit with like a good scream. It's right at the edge of my falsetto. So that was the reason I started to down tune in the first place, because of that one
Hmm.
song. And then I was like, I'm not gonna tune back and forth the whole time, so I'll just leave it down here. Maybe capo some off if I need to get up to E standard again, and just kind of
Yeah.
went from there. But yeah, that was kind of an issue for a while. And that was the way to solve it.
Yeah. I like a lot of the music that I've listened to has always been down tuned in some form.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I'm playing along with them, I just automatically have it tuned low.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not opposed to tuning up if that's if that's better, if that's, better for your singing.
We'll have to talk about it. I don't know. I haven't really. So the last band I played in, I was like, I want to play in the standard so I can grab any guitar and just play these songs. But a lot of times, like the feedback I got was like, you're singing too high. It was the range was just,
Mm.
and it was hard to hit notes confidently and that stuff. And then as soon as I tuned it down, I was like, damn, you don't have to work as hard. And you do in a different way, but you don't. You can really push more air and get a little bit more like distorted easier. But now, and I went all the way down. I started in standard. I recorded all these songs, standard, half, D, C sharp. I think I went all the way down to C, maybe even B on some songs, just to see where the voice would fit. And I
Mm.
eventually came back up to D standard as just a middle ground. But yeah, I'm still kind of on the fence with playing My Name Is Jonas the other night. It was just like, oh, that is a half step down, and just singing along to that, yeah, it just got me thinking. So that's something to talk about later. We don't have to.
Actually, since we're on the topic of that,
Yeah.
I had been listening to that song all day today.
Yes.
But granted, we don't have to decide this right now, but it was just something that crossed my mind. So we're tuned to D standard usually.
Yep.
Now, we could either play it, staying in D standard, or if you wanted to capo on the first fret, and we would actually be in then E flat, and then we can actually play it as the song is recorded.
Yeah, so I was actually doing that a little bit today. I was in D, and then I was like, I wasn't playing the finger picked C part in the beginning. I was just kind of like putting that aside, and from there you can just kind of play power chords. So I would just move it up a step, half a step, and play it there. I'm just trying to sing back and forth between the two and kind of see. It's weird because like there's another voice break into baritone that's kind of in the CD range as well, and depends on what song you're singing. Like the high note in Neck and Neck is, well, it's a G now, but it was an A. But the high note in like another song might be really not high at all. So sometimes, but there's like a range where the voice works really well for like more aggressive vocals, and it's from like this note to that note. So anytime we want those to try to keep the higher parts in that range, that's kind of what I'm trying to figure out. But I don't want to be tuning guitars differently every freaking song and passing them back and forth and having to do all this other crazy stuff either. So yeah, we'll talk about that more. But
yeah.
All right. Well, I think this is a good place to kind of wrap it up. Yeah, good guitar talk. Just really quickly,
Definitely.
yeah, want to throw out where you can find us, which is Bellwether Ritual, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. I will try to set us up on Twitch eventually so we can get out there as well. And then we're going to have another show on Sunday with John of the Ghost of Fu Kang Walker, which is another local band. I think they're out of Emmaus. So I think they're actually in our wheelhouse too, which is great. So hopefully we'll be able to book some shows together and get out and do that now that everything kind of feels like it's getting back to normal. So yeah, Shane, thank you very much for doing this, and we'll have to set up some more time where we can maybe, if someone gets something cool, we could check it out, or just keep guitar shopping, because yeah, I've been having the itch lately. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Cool.
It's fun.
And then I will see you tomorrow night. And for everyone else,
Yep.
we appreciate you guys checking this out. And yeah, we'll have some new music for you soon. So thank you, and see you on Sunday.